Hello everybody out there, welcome back to another Dark Avenger Comic Book review. Unfortunately, this review is a bit late. Luckily, we recorded the indie review before I started to get a little bit sick. I haven't been feeling good the past couple of days, so right in between the two reviews we decided not to do the big two review. I thought I'd feel better the next day, and unfortunately it was kind of a downhill thing for me for a couple of days. Today's Wednesday. We've already ordered episode 300's books, which is a good thing. So 300's books are ordered.
Speaking of 300, there are how many episodes left?
2. This is 298.
Yep, 2.
2, including this one, because I'm sure a few of you are wondering why it's 2. But anyway, it's a normal 2.
Okay.
So that's why this is late. I apologize, guys, but I'm glad it was this week I got sick and not the weekend of 300. But I think I would have powered through 300 if that was the case. 299 and Indie Review 94 should be on time.
Okay.
As I'm feeling better. So let's get through this the books this week.
They're released today, on July 15, 2015.
As the books for July 22nd are released also today.
Right, that's for next episode.
Secret Six, issue number 4. It was an interesting read this week. It opens up with them living in the slums. They ran away from their current residence, decide to go back to get their gear, and they are met with a group of 3 people in masks. And they were sent by Riddler, also known as Mockingbird, to bring the Secret Six back. If they did that, they would get their friend back. If not, they were already planning to infiltrate and get their friend back on their own, but they thought they'd take the easy way and try to convince the Secret Six to be imprisoned for an entire year. And Catman says over his dead body, you know, they show up and they kind of, in the beginning when they show up, they try to civilly ask for it. You know, they show up with cookies and stuff, and they're like, oh, you know, would you be willing to, you know, just go along with it freely? They say no. Fight breaks out. The fight kind of ends evenly. They all kind of just decide to stop. I mean, I love the way what's his name is having a polite fight with Banshee. Doesn't work out. They end up leaving to get their friend back, but there was a little bit of a mention at the end of this book. I guess I could spoil it since it's already a week late. Banshee makes mention that one of them has the stench of death on them.
Oh.
So one of the Secret Six members might be in trouble. Superman Wonder Woman issue 19. It's Superman and Wonder Woman versus the Suicide Squad throughout most of the issue. Almost the whole issue is them fighting Suicide Squad. Superman notices that Wonder Woman is too busy worrying about him and not worrying about herself. We'll get into that later. Superman wants to know where all the bodies, like his parents' bodies, were moved to, who's doing what they're doing to him. Unfortunately, he doesn't get any answers because he gets shot by Deadshot. Apparently, Superman is still invulnerable to a point. Bullets, instead of bouncing off him and leaving nothing, now leave him in black and blues, and they don't bounce off him, they kind of stick to him. So he is invulnerable, sort of, but it's to a point. He still can be hurt. And he decides he's going to make a visit to some high and mighty people at the end of the issue. So this is really building up very nicely also. I don't know where it fits in between the Superman Action Comic story arc, but it's things are definitely heating up as he's taking things to a higher level. Robin Son of Batman issue 2. I really enjoyed this issue. Robin is on the road to redemption, and we go back in time and find out that he had to behead this, I forgot what it was, a god, and steal the sword inside of the temple. And what he does in redemption is he returns the head to the Guardian, and the Guardian is after Robin now to basically turn him to stone. Nobody shows up, and this is the daughter of the original Nobody that Robin killed. She is making sure that Robin redeems himself, or his road to redemption is complete, and then she's going to kill him for what he did to her father. So she's kind of making quadruple sure that Damien does redeem himself from all the sins that he committed as Damien Al Ghul and not Damian Wayne. And in the end, basically, we find out that the sword that the Guardian was protecting wasn't the true treasure in the temple. And I guess we'll never find out, because the Guardian is now back where he belongs, guarding the temple. And we get an ending where Nobody's like, there is no more you. We are going to make sure you redeem all of your past sins. So I guess Nobody's going to be a guest star on Damien Son of Batman. It's a nice read. It's a definite average read. DC was very average this week for me. There's one more book for me, but Michael actually has one.
Yeah, Martian Manhunter, issue number 2. The title of this was Martian Manhunter versus Superman, from what we saw in the last issue, what the name of this was going to be. And the reason why for that is because Superman wants to know, like, how Jean found out about all these terrorist attacks. And we also get a little bit of a backstory of, I'm guessing it's himself, because Cat was a little bit, you know, confused about if this is him really, but I think it is in disguise. And also this girl here, which I believe her name was Aaliyah. Like, she appears in this book as well, and she just does her side mission. So basically, this Superman I found to be a true Superman, like saying, you know, Sean Jones, I know you're going through all this, but let the Justice League and me help you. And he just goes all mad. And actually, let me show you some artwork, actually, because this is like really great artwork, by the way. And it's not just Superman he fights off. He fights off also against Flash, Wonder Woman, and Cyborg. And it's like a really heated battle of all of them against John Jones. And he does something at the end of this book which is kind of, yeah. And if you want to find out what that is, definitely read the book. So, I found it to be really interesting of, you know, but this Superman, I could say, is the Superman that we all can look at as a true hero, or not differently. So.
Green Lantern Lost Army, issue number 2. In this issue, we build up a little bit more of the mystery. We find out that John and the others learn that the pyramid that they came face to face with is able to recharge their rings. Not only can it recharge their rings, but it recharges them to 200% because it's pure energy. However, they are also met with wielders of the red spectrum. They're not called Red Lanterns. They're just wielders of the red spectrum, and they fight them. Lots of action in this book. The cover says it all. Great artwork, as always. So they retreat. The Lanterns recharge their batteries. Like I said, 200%. It's more of a pure energy. They fly off, and they actually do meet up with somebody at the end of this issue. And this is where you kind of question, they're not only in a different sector of space, they might even be in a different part of time altogether. And the question still remains, who sent them there and why? I mean, Krona is young still. He doesn't realize what's going on. Relic is young. This is like before the spectrum of light was hurt. It's more of a pure light. I liked it. I love the dialogue in this book. Guy is really strong. I would like to have a little bit more of a focal point on the group instead of just John Stewart. This is really more of a John Stewart book, I guess. But Guy Gardner being in the book definitely adds more to it, and I hope we get a little bit more spotlight to Guy Gardner. Justice League issue 42. Superman and Lex Luthor are trapped on Apokolips. The rest of the Justice League is fighting the daughter of Darkseid, or the granddaughter of Darkseid. No, the daughter of Darkseid. and Metron actually ends up saving them. Lots of stuff is building up. The Anti-Monitor is now on Earth, and he's preparing to fight Darkseid. Darkseid is preparing to fight the Anti-Monitor, but he wants to fight Superman on Apocalypse first. While also, you've got a little bit of other story going on with Mr. Miracle. That I'll let you guys read. But I love how in the end, the Justice League want to find out how to stop, to get answers for the Anti-Monitor and everything that's going on, and the only way to do that is take Metron off of his chair. And Wonder Woman does that, and lo and behold, the person who jumps into the chair is Batman.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I love how there's a bit of a reference to God Hand here, because Green Lantern explains to the Justice League the last time they met Metron what happened with the Green Lantern Corps. So I like that there is still a bit of a connection between God Hand and this with Hal. Really good. This story is definitely building up to be something really awesome. Jeff Johns has been doing amazing work with Justice League, and I'm really excited to see where this all goes in the end. We're now in Marvel, and before we get into any Secret War stuff, this book is not first because it was my least favorite book of the week. This book is going first because it was supposed to be out a long time ago. And when I say a long time ago, I mean months, maybe a good half a year ago. Hawkeye issue number 22. We already have all new Hawkeye. This is the grand finale to the first volume of 3. Those of you that know I started all new Hawkeye, I did drop it. I will not be reviewing the next issue this coming week unless it's digitally. I've had enough of Hawkeye. I don't like that we're jumping around. I'm not interested in the new direction after Secret Wars. This was my Hawkeye series, and it's over now. $5. Was it worth it? If you remember everything from the Hawkeye series, from issue 1 to 21, absolutely, because this gives you a great grand finale to the series. Kate comes back, Pizza Dog comes back, the fight between the Mark and Clint finally happens. Bart goes missing, so Bart isn't really dead. And we find out what happens to Bart at the end of the issue, which I thought was a really nice opening. And then you just find out that Kate and Clint are now back together again. Clint still owns the apartment buildings. The Bros, we get that finale with them too. And the same thing with Penny. Penny, who doesn't have a last name, who is married to one of the Bros. We get an ending to her too. And we actually do get to see all the women in Clint's life again together with him. And Bart actually reaches out to Clint and tells him, no, don't worry about me. And we kind of get a little bit of a setup to what's going to come with all new Hawkeye. But obviously that's not going to happen in all new Hawkeye, because we know that went in a completely different direction, and we all know that the new volume that's going to be coming out in November is going to probably be going in a completely different direction, at least for the first story arc, yet again. So for now, for a while, maybe permanently, I think me and Hawkeye are going our separate ways. This was an excellent book, though, and this series was an excellent series. I would definitely recommend you guys check this out. The original 22 issues. It was fun. It was what it claimed it was going to be. Yes, they did separate for a time where Kate had her own story and Clint had his own story, and they kind of, every other issue went back and forth. For the ups, for the downs, for everything, Hawkeye was a really good series. Now we're going into the Secret War stuff.
Secret Wars Battleworld, issue number 3. Nah. No.
Nah.
The artwork. Terrible.
I was putting it away and you're like, nah. Why do you have to go into it? Do you want to go into it?
It's first of all, there's 2 stories. The first story talks about Wolverine. Like there's more than one.
Yeah, there was
Wolverine.
a big.
Look at the artwork. The artwork is just hideous, and the story didn't really make that much sense. And then in the second story, we have Deadpool, who was on his whatever that thing is. I forgot what it was called, and he meets up with this other person in the desert, like saying, hey, a monkey person, like saying, hey, you know, maybe we should just team up. And some of the parts were just disgusting. And then there was a third story of the World War Ann, which was like a little bit ridiculous. This book was so ridiculous. I'm like, I don't know how I got through it. I'm trying to figure out still how I got through this book. The artwork is bad, and the story is just no. Just do not waste your money on this. Just absolute skip and drop pile.
Inhumans, Attlian Rising, issue number 3. I could sum this all up in 2 words. Black Bolt, what's the word I'm looking for? Surrenders himself in order to save his people. Basically, he says, take me at the end of the issue and spare the rest. If you let my friends go, because he does kind of distract Medusa so his friends can leave, he says, let them leave and you can have me. While back at the club, I forgot what it was called, the Whisper, the huge fight breaks out there, and unfortunately, in the end, all of the resistance people at the Whisper get at the Quiet Room. They end up getting imprisoned as well. So, in the end, Black Bolt gets taken. The Resistance tried to get back to the Quiet Room. They can't because the portal was destroyed, so they don't know where they're going to end up in Battleworld now because they have to end up somewhere. And the people at the Quiet Room are now also prisoners.
Oh.
To be continued. So the Resistance has officially been snuffed, or at least for now, it looks to be that the Resistance of Battleworld has officially been halted. Obviously, that's not the case because there's still more issues to go, but it's going to be interesting to see how the Resistance break Black Bolt out of Medusa's prison and what's going to happen with the rest of the Resistance people that got caught in the Quiet Room.
Hail Hydra, issue number 1. The story is really about Ian, who is Captain America's son, I believe, right?
I don't know. This was not my book.
No, I know, but I was just saying to myself, I think, because goes to
oh, Ian from the this is the kid from
the biological father. Okay, yeah. And
this is a recap of what happened in the Captain America series right before Cap lost his super soldier serum. It was the first story arc where John Romita Jr. did the art that I tried to hold on, and
we have Zola, who is his real biological father, who was working with Hydra. And we find out from one of the people on the street that Hydra is not, he founded New York, because this is taking place in New York, and there are these Hydra's men who are trying to take him in, and Ian tries to stop them. Really action-packed, though, I will say that much, with the great artwork. And we find out the guy who goes back to the Hydra headquarters, that they want to punish the guy and throw him into the fire, and Ian goes there to save him, along with blowing up
Ian,
along with blowing up Zola's factory actually. And
I love how there's still one more number 1. We have almost all the number 1s covered. House of M this August.
Yeah, and we have this person right here who actually decapitates the kid, and Ian doesn't really like that much, and as he fights with him, he finds out who it is. Yeah, that's very interesting to make me come back for issue 2. Just to see.
And just for the record, Mike didn't know this was his book until
I really didn't
5 minutes before the review. He read it just now.
Well, it took me less than 5 minutes because there was inner dialogue.
Speaking of quick reads this week, that goes to Planet Hulk issue number 3. I can sum this up for you guys also in a couple of words. Captain America and Doc Green, along with Rex, who is the dinosaur. I think that's the name of the dinosaur. Anyway, they fight a Hulk monster, the one that was in the very end of the last issue, Most of that's this book. Oh, Devil. Devil is the T-Rex. Devil ends up beating the Hulk. I don't know what they call it. The Hulk monster. And then the rest of the book's a lot of dialogue. Another flashback with Captain America and Bucky on the, during the war. And the rest of it's just walking through the Mudlands, because that's what Captain America chooses, to walk through the Mudlands to get to the Red King faster. And then they get attacked by Savage Hulks, to be continued. That's really it. A lot of this is just very dialogue heavy, and it's a lot of Doc Green talking and a lot of Captain America wishing Doc Green would shut the hell up.
Wow.
The action in the beginning was really good. Story's still very strong. Artwork is excellent still. I can't wait for the next issue. It's a really good story. Obviously, this was more of a call it a walking issue, but it was a very point A to point B book. 6 minutes. We're good for another couple issues.
Alright, Battleworld Siege, issue number 1. The story just focuses on Abigail's character, who is a S.H.I.E.L.D. leader. And I thought it was okay. I mean, Abigail, she has a really, temper problem. But then, like Jay said, she's a leader of S.H.I.E.L.D. and she's trying to keep everything all together. So I could kind of now understand why she was very hot-headed. And I also like the journal that she comes up with of the before attacks of back then to now. So, here's some artwork. It's basically just getting the team together. The artwork was a little bit okay.
It was written by Kieran Gillen too, that's good.
Yeah. And, she's just trying to, stop all these things from happening to, how can I put this, less chaotic things to happen, to not make it more of a mayhem that happened long ago. We have Kang, who actually appears in this issue, and he comes to tell her that, that there is fear that you should be, in fear of. And the thing is that there's the other Kang that comes in that says, we're running out of time, and Thanos dooms us all.
So that's a mention of Thanos.
But they said that Thanos is dead. That's what Abigail said. He's dead. So I'm smelling a Thanos versus Doom fight. And I hope it happens. Because I'm rooting for Thanos. I like Thanos over Doom. Even though they're villains, I just choose Thanos over Doom.
Armor Wars issue number 3. I guess he's a Thor, but Rhodey goes after Kingpin, Tony Stark goes after Arno in this issue. And it's all because they figured out that they're the ones behind Peter Urich's death. And the artwork in this book is really good. I love how Arno has a whole wave of different things that Tony has to get through before he could actually get to him. Rhodey actually goes to his niece, and I forgot her name. Wow. Jeez. Oh, it's Marshall Rhodes. Marshall Rhodes, by the way.
Oh.
I don't think they have an index for the girl. No. No, not for the girl. We'll call her Peter's girlfriend. Peter's girlfriend ends up actually continuing her work despite what happened with Peter, because she wants it to be done so she can get revenge for what happened to Peter. And I don't know, there's something funny going on with Tony and Arno as well. And of course in the end we got Marshall Rhodes showing up to bring the Kingpin in, and of course the Kingpin is not going to go quietly. To be continued. This is one of my favorite books. I'm really enjoying Armor Wars for what it is, and the story is really, really good. I guess we have time for one more before we go to the next part.
Kovac Saga, issue number 2. And this issue is very interesting. I like how there's a mission in every beginning of the book, and this mission talks about like something that's happened at the terminal where there's these big monsters are coming in, and there's the parade thing that's going on where Baron Williams is like, like the head of the crowd, whereas Michael Korvac is like still jealous of him. So as all this is happening, we get a nice artwork actually, where the Avengers assemble and then they just take out that. But during the process of all this, at the end, spoiler, Michael Korvac's wife actually dies, and it's like a really emotional scene for him. And we have also Starhawk that goes through the computers, and what he finds in the end, he finds the person who's behind all these stars missing, and he has one purpose, and that is Doom. And I like I just says Doom, and then just wow, what he did to Starhawk was just like I could actually see it happening as if it were a movie. That was really just something. I'm definitely gonna come back for the next issue because that's just wow.
Alright guys, give us just 1 second and we will continue and finish this week's comic books. Alright, and we're back, and now we are in Years of Future Past, issue number 3. I really enjoyed this issue this week. It was a really great story. We find out, spoiler alert here, and it is mentioned, I love how Cameron's the one that mentions or gives a reference to Star Wars. Cameron is Kitty Pryde and Shadowcat and Colossus's son. They explain how that happens later on in the issue. They were captured. Wolverine still had Cameron. Kitty thought it would be a better idea for Wolverine to raise Cameron. And then, of course, Christina was born inside of the jail. So she was kind of one of those babies. So kind of makes that speech that Colossus made in the last issue kind of... So they wake Lockheed up in order to defend the mutant sanctuary so the mutants can get away from the Doom bots, or the Doom... I would call them Doom Sentinels, but yeah, they're Doom Sentinels. And that's when the whole, you're not going to hurt my son, and that's when Cameron finds out he's Kitty Pryde's son. We find out that nobody, even the senator himself, cannot touch the Church of Doom. So they go to Coney Island, which is where the church is. No joke. And inside the church, she explains what happened. Christina can't really deal with it. Cameron kind of is able to deal with it a little bit more. There's a nice little sibling back and forth. Nightcrawler shows them that there's a camp directly across the street from the church where there are a lot of mutants that might need help. Christina, being a very hot-headed, headlong person, decides she's going to go free them right then and there. And then, spoiler alert here, it turns out it's a trap.
It's a trap.
It was a trap. Lots of other dialogue that went on in this book. Lots of really great stuff. This was a really good book. The only thing is, Christina, I like how it was explained during the live show. Christina is definitely Kitty Pryde when she first joined the X-Men. Cameron is more of Kitty Pryde after being raised or growing with Wolverine, having Wolverine around as her role model. So I like how they did that. It is true. I didn't even realize that till it was brought up during the live show. But yeah, Christina's more of the young Kitty Pryde. Cameron's more of the older Kitty Pryde. And that's really cool, how her children are basically her at different times.
My book of the week has to go to Captain Britain and the Mighty Defenders, issue number 1. And this is really about, like, not the first generation of heroes, but it's actually the second generation. But not father passed on to son or daughter. It's actually the first generation passed on to someone else. Like, for example, Dr. Jensen is now the new Iron Man that was passed on from Tony Stark. And he talks about, you know, how, you know, he has, like, these dreams about these things he sees. And, like, this is, like, an example. And the artwork's great. We have She-Hulk, who is Thor, with a hammer that she has as a gavel.
With the charmed symbol on it, which is hilarious.
Yeah, with the symbol on there, and I actually found, I'm like saying, I've seen this somewhere before, and I'm thinking it's Tron, and then I was actually right when I thought, because Jay brought it up. Then we have Spider Hero that joins, along with Kid Rescue, who is Janssen's daughter. And we have this girl here called Dr. Faiza Hussein, and she has her story about what she talks about, and she don't like Doom that much. She thinks that, you know, Doom isn't a ruler, like he's just, you know, just a regular person, that we saw him as just Dr. Doom. And then, you know, then She-Hulk says something that Dr. Doom overhears and strips her from holding the gavel. And now, with all these wars that happen, we have Boss Magnakai, I think that's how you say it, and Frost, I think Boss Frost, who comes in, and then the whole thing of having Dr. Piazza captured, and it's in a building that's very, very interesting. And that is the Punisher skull, everyone, yes. This was really amazing. Not just because of the ending part, but just the whole story, that we have second generation superheroes that are just really, I mean, high recommendation, book of the week sold.
My favorite book of the week has to go to Guardians of Knowhere, issue number 1. Angela, at the beginning of this issue, is looking for Gamora. She goes to Knowhere. She comes across Drax. She tells Drax that she's looking for Gamora, and she demands to know where Gamora is. Drax will not tell her anything. She's like, we can either do this the easy way or the hard way. Of course, Drax, being the Destroyer, decides to do it the hard way. And Gamora does show up to protect Drax, and Doom basically wants Gamora because she left Knowhere, and we know all the people belong in their own sector, and that's it. If you leave your sector by Doom's law, you have to be brought in. And Angela is a Thor, technically. So the Guardians show up to save Gamora, and actually do get Gamora. They do save Gamora. They run away. And Angela's left kind of open, like there's no one there, so she ends up leaving. There is a hideout they're at. There's a really great scene between Rocket and Gamora. We get to see Gamora cry, which that was wow. I know Mike Spider Slayer mentioned it in his review. I'll mention it here too. It's crazy. She doesn't believe that there's really a Doom, which is kind of funny because we all know there is a Doom, but she doesn't believe in it because she hasn't seen it. So that's why she leaves her sector. She doesn't believe there's... Basically, she's saying she doesn't believe in God. But there is one word that she does say, and it's Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody knows what Thanos is. I remember Rocket's like, how can you say there's no Doom when we live on a head that's chopped off by Doom? Because apparently Doom is the one that destroyed the Beyonder's head, which became Knowhere. At least in this during Secret Wars. And then... where was it? We live on a head that's chopped off, blah, 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 and she's like, Thanos, and Rocket's like, what? And then somebody's like, what's Thanos? And that's when they get attacked by this other weird guy called, Yotat?
Who the hell is he?
And he basically wants to kill Drax and become the new Destroyer.
I never heard of him.
He wants to become the Destroyer of the Destroyer. That's the only part where I'm like, okay, this is an unknown person looking to just destroy Drax, and you know that Angela is going to come back at some point. This was an excellent book, though. I love the dialogue. I love the artwork. Everything was great. This was the top book for me this week from Marvel. Great dialogue, great action, good story. Couldn't get any better than that. And with that, that's it for this review, guys. As always, don't forget to check out Comic Related, still around for now, Comic Frontline, and Zone4Podcast.com. Together, we are your number one source, along with Frontline Gaming Zone. We are your number one source for comic-related news, reviews, and a whole bunch more, guys. One more episode, $2.99, will be coming up this weekend, along with episode 94 of the Indie Review. Next week, I will be MIA everywhere except for the Tuesday live show on Comic Frontline. I will be beginning my videos for the 200 comic review celebration. 300. Thank you. 300 comic review celebration immediately right after Tuesday's live show on Frontline. I might even start a little bit before then if I have the time. I'm going to be outlining all the video ideas, all the announcements and everything, all the special videos, and I'm going to just start recording. On the weekend, though, we will have some on-weekend videos that we record, as well as the live show. 2 Fridays. There is no live show this Friday, guys. I'm skipping this week specifically to start working on ideas. Lots of stuff is coming for the 300 comic review weekend, so we're really excited. I'll be talking about this again on next week's haul, on this Friday's haul. Look forward to that. Hopefully I'll be feeling a lot better by Friday. I'm hopeful that everything will be sorted out for the time being at least. Take care, everybody. Keep reading, keep collecting. We'll see you guys really soon in the next review.
Bye, everyone.